What is going on, everybody? Welcome to another special. We're coming at you for the third time FL Teams Live this week. That's what happens with the NFL Draft. So we're going to have some fun recapping the first round, and then we're also just kind of live watching this round, so you're going to get some feedback on that too. Welcome into the FL Teams Draft Room. Joining us tonight, man, is we got EJ Farbman representing his Tennessee Titans. Of course, from the Jaguar podcast, we got Andrew Eshman, and our fearless leader, Isaac, gets to come out tonight and join us as well. So, look, this is going to be a good time. Of course, we all know FL Teams. Go check them out, man. Florida sports are going crazy right now. Hockey playoffs, NBA, all that good stuff, and all this draft talk. So come on aboard. So welcome, everybody. How's everybody doing?
What's up?
We're all happy to be here. Look, this was a great first round, and I think what made it so great was the fact that there were so many unexpected picks. You got players drafted to teams that you didn't expect them to be drafted to, but also the biggest thing were the amount of trades that happened in the first round. Teams are trading up, teams are trading down, and we will touch on this today. We didn't just have trades, but we had trades that had players involved. And when I say players, I mean 2 wide receivers in A.J. Brown and Marquise Brown. So the first round was really one for the ages in terms of being unexpected. Who knew Marquise Brown and A.J. Brown were going to get traded? If someone was going to get traded, it would have been Deebo Samuel.
You would have thought, man.
Would have thought, huh?
Yeah, the first 10 picks were kind of boring. It was like, a little bit of surprise. Maybe a couple of the corners went quicker than we thought they would. But from the minute New Orleans traded up, like it just lit a powder keg, man. Yeah. This has been the most Vegas draft you could do in Vegas because it's all about gambles and moving around, man. It's been awesome.
Well, like we talked about, Jeremiah, it seemed like the first, maybe even the first round was supposed to be so scripted, right? Like everyone that you thought was going to go somewhere was going to go to that place. And then, once you get New Orleans trading up, you get the big trade for Marquise Brown going to Arizona, you get A.J. Brown going to Philly. From that point forward, it's been and then you start the second round with 2 trades and 3 picks. So it's been nonstop from start to now.
Hey, so no better place to jump over to. Let's Andrew, out of all of our teams, you've been the busiest, right? I mean, the Jags have had picks so far and some pretty solid one, man. How you feeling on day 3?
I'm feeling really good. I mean, we got Trayvon Walker, number 1 pick. And so we have somebody solid at edge. We extended Josh Allen. We gave him his 5th-year option, which is smart, and we have some veteran leadership there on the defensive line, which is good. And the Devin Lloyd pick, at what was that, 33? Or no, it was 27 actually, right? We traded up, so 27. I love it. I think it's awesome. The linebacking core is going to be really good, I think, for Jacksonville with Foye Olakon and Devin Lloyd. And then we have Quarterman too. And we have some good depth there at linebacker. So I'm pleased. Then we got Fortner. We got Fortner at 65, which is the only draft pick I got right, but I'm still happy. Some nice depth there at center. And now we have the linebacker Muma too. We got I think our defense is going to be nasty.
Dude, Devin Lloyd, in my opinion, was easily the best linebacker in this draft. From a tackling standpoint, to a pursuit standpoint, to a playing the ball almost like a safety standpoint. Had a pick 6 in the Pac-12 championship game against Oregon. There's not much you could ask for that kind of guy at the 33rd overall pick in the draft.
Look, Jacksonville set the table for the fact that, when we talked about this, even through our mock, we talked about it. You and I talked about it, breaking it down, EJ. The teams that were bad this year had a lot of holes, right? Yeah. And this has been a unique draft because there's depth and talent at almost every position, right? So teams have done an unbelievable job of filling holes and adding quality players that can make an impact. I mean, I agree with you, Andrew. I think your defense got remarkably better coming out of this. Outside of Jacksonville, though, who else did you feel like had a really nice first round?
I really like the Jets. I thought they had a really good draft with Jermaine Johnson, But I was praying didn't fall EJ to the Titans because I was like, man, we're gonna have some problems with him if he falls to the Titans. But yeah, I think the Jets drafted did they get a guard or they get somebody on offensive line?
They got a Conwu.
Yeah, that was huge.
The kid from NC State, Ikem Okonwu.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then they got Garrett Wilson, who arguably might be the best wide receiver in the draft. He was the second wide receiver drafted behind Drake London.
To be honest, I think that, like, obviously you can't teach size. So anyone 6'3", 6'4", 6'5" is you know, I can teach you to run a 4.5 40, but I can't teach you to be 6'4". So that
I got to jump in real fast. We finally did the second quarterback is off the board.
Who took it?
Let's see who it is. Wait, let's see. So,
Desmond Ridder went before Malik Willis.
I caught it.
Atlanta Falcons pick 74. Desmond Ridder.
Give me credit. Before we went live, I said I wouldn't be surprised if Willis was not the second quarterback drafted. I did think it would be Sam Howell over Ridder, but hey, Ridder, fantastic career at Cincinnati. They did terrific last year, making the Final Four. Obviously, they did lose to Michigan.
Yeah.
In the Final Four. But let me tell you something about Ridder. He is going to be playing in some games coming up. I bet you Marcus Mariota gets the week 1 job. Either way, it will be questionable. Is he a franchise quarterback? Is he not? I do think he has a long career in the NFL, even if it's a backup. Backup quarterbacks are in the league for a while. So Ridder, we should be seeing his name for a while. But now I'm kind of wondering what's going to happen with Malik Willis. We are here, 3rd round. The Seahawks, I think, are really the only team that might get him. Right now, the Seahawks have Drew Lock.
Well, I mean,
maybe Carolina.
I was about to say, there's in the top 32 picks, there was 3 or 4 teams that we thought was going to be a Malik Willis landing spot. Carolina, Seattle. We thought Pittsburgh. Obviously before they took Kenny Pickett, and then Seattle picks at 40 and 41 and passes on in both times. So, I mean, I guess they're waiting to see value in him, compared to the pick he lands at. I guess they don't value him high enough at the 40 or 41 spot. And they want to say, hey, if we can get him at, 81 or 85, wherever they pick next, I guess that makes more sense to them.
Yeah. Look, I'll give this because I know we're going to be all over the board. That's an interesting pick to see. Man, I'm used to the Jets being inept. And as a Dolphin fan, Jesus, dude, these last 2 years, Elijah Moore, okay, Zach Wilson, Michael Carter, then you get the Mauler from NC State. You add the defensive end. You put Garrett Wilson, and then in the second round, they get Breece Hall. I mean, that's young talent, man.
Hey, and Breece Hall played behind Devin Montgomery at Iowa State, so it's not like he didn't have anything to learn from. He had a sitting year or two, played, All-American the last 2 seasons. He's that 1-2 punch between him and Michael Carter, it's going to take a lot of pressure off Zach Wilson. And then obviously, Elijah Moore came on late. Braxton Berrios turned into a really bright spot for them in the slot. And now you have somewhat of a deep threat ball contesting receiver in Garrett Wilson, because I think he plays a lot bigger than what he is because he's so athletic. So they may be a little scary in that division this year.
And Robert Saleh actually looks like he knows what he's doing. I mean, I wasn't worried when Gase went there. I saw what Gase could do.
Well, we saw what he could do, and we saw what he could or couldn't do in Chicago even before that.
Yeah, dude, I'm telling you, the Jets got better. They got better in a big way.
And I think while we're speaking of a New York team, the Giants, I just think that Evan Neal falling to 7, just amazing. I mean, the Giants needed someone like Neal. Say what you want. That's going to help them. And then the Kevon Thibodeau pick is obviously going to help them. It's interesting. They could have gone with the Kwanu, the NC State guy, right there at number 5. They didn't. They still got their own lineman in Evan Neal. That pick, I guess you could say, is questionable, but it's helping them. So the Giants, the Jets, the 2 New York teams, the 2 teams that probably need the most help in the NFL, did good. But let's talk about the Lions, if we could, for a second. The Lions, they got a wide receiver, Jameson Williams. He was amazing in Alabama, but it's kind of interesting. I don't know. What are your guys' thoughts on that pick?
I think he's like a Jerry Jeudy 2.0. He's got a little more top end speed, but if you watch any of his film, any of his Bama film, or even Ohio State film, the dude is a route technician. He can come in at a breaks real fast. He runs short, intermediate. His route tree is really expanded. I guess they say he's ahead of schedule when it comes to his ACL rehab from the national title game. So to me, that would really be the only thing in question is is he going to be healthy in time to be able to digest the playbook and to build a rapport with Jared Goff? In my opinion, that's really the only thing that I would be worried about if I'm anyone on the offensive side of a Detroit.
Yeah, you know what? We could have let Detroit go. Detroit's probably going to need a quarterback too. I mean,
I remember Andrew's non-sexy pick for Jacksonville at number 1 overall was Evan Neal, and then he slips to number 7 with the Giants.
I couldn't believe it, man. Like, I think he's going to be great for the Giants because I think he's a day one starter.
Oh yes, he's a plug and play on any of the 32 teams.
Yeah, I mean, he only missed one game, I think, too, in his like entire college career. It's like he played 40 out of 41 games, and one was because of COVID. So, I mean, I think he's a great pickup. I'm just surprised he slid that far to 10. I mean, that's crazy.
By the way, guys, I see the Colts are up next. They may want Malik Willis because right now they have Matt Ryan.
I thought the same thing too. I mean, even though he's in the AFC South now, I don't see Matt Ryan having that much left in the tank. Obviously, this season, if they crap the bed, if they crap the bed or if they overachieve, I know they got Matt Ryan. They picked up Stephon Gilmore, which is a great pickup, one of the best lockdown corners in the league. So I think his future will be telling this next season. At a pick in the 80s, I don't know why you don't take a chance on a potential future and let him. Matt Ryan's been to the Super Bowl. He's possibly going to be on like that fringe Hall of Fame line.
Yeah. Well, he's in the final 2 years of a 5-year deal. I think that, and all the NFL analysts have been talking about this. Willis probably needs like 2 years to really get NFL ready, and also Matt Ryan may not have a lot of stuff left in the tank in those 2 years. So I think drafting Willis here might be smart. Again, look, we're right here, the 77th pick in the NFL draft. You can't really go wrong with getting Willis unless you see someone that you want to grab here. Because who knows how long Willis is going to be still on the board. I made a joke on Twitter. I'm not the biggest fan of Tua. I said the Dolphins should trade up for Willis. They don't need to trade up for him. He may fall right in their hands. They're obviously not going to
happen.
I really don't think there's any – I mean, even Pickett, I really don't think there's any quarterback in this draft that's like first-round worthy, maybe even second-round worthy. I think you have a lot of guys that are like some teams are in really bad spots from a QB perspective, so you hope they can be franchise savers. But I really don't think any of them, they don't have a Trevor Lawrence resume. They don't have an Andrew Luck resume, coming from college to the NFL. So, the speculation behind him is a lot of what if. What if he gets in the right system? What if he is able to develop footwork or mechanics? So with guys like Trevor Lawrence and Andrew Luck, like they were some of the highest graded prospects that Mel Kiper or Todd McShay have ever looked at. So, I wasn't a huge fan of the quarterback class to begin with. And, the two guys next year are going to be, CJ Stroud and Bryce Young. I mean, if you don't get one of these guys this year, which obviously it's not looking like too many teams are at this point, what are you going to do? Tank next year for a CJ Stroud or Bryce Young?
Look, if he gets past Indy, there's really no other team between Tennessee and Indy's pick that could use a quarterback. So you could still be looking at that. We talked about the slide a little bit, and the team that's on the clock right now, the Baltimore Ravens, again, man, I'm sandwiched by these guys, and unfortunately they're too close to it. But my goodness, man, again, they just make solid picks. Okay, You get Kyle Hamilton coming back to you. Then they draft Linderbaum to take over at center because the center just rolled out. And then you get a Jabo in the second round. Like, these guys, who knows if they're all pro, but they're going to be solid contributors all the way through.
But Ajabo's got some time on the sideline, though. Didn't he tear his Achilles during his pro day? So I guess, obviously everyone's body's different. It kind of depends on the position you play and how well you use that leg to fire off on. So I mean, who knows what he comes back as? But if you just look at the player and the value of where they got the pick at, they do a heck of a job drafting, man. I still can't believe they got rid of Marquise Brown. And I know they, essentially the Linderbaum pick was where they were supposed to be there anyway. But between Rashad Bateman, Devin Duvernay, Prochet, the kid out of SMU last year, their receivers, their receiving crew, aside from Mark Andrews, has a combined 53 receptions in their NFL careers.
Yeah.
I don't understand. Mark Andrews' fantasy value just went through the freaking roof. I mean, absolutely through the freaking roof.
This is what I don't understand, and hear me out here. I want to break this down, and I need to say it slowly so I actually think of it in my head. The Cardinals are acquiring Marquise Brown and the number 100 overall pick. The Ravens got the number 23 pick. Now, it is strongly possible that the number 23rd pick turns out to be better than Marquise Brown. However, the Ravens value Marquise Brown. Not that he's amazing, because he's kind of average, but they really didn't have anyone else besides him. They did draft the wide receiver, and they still have Mark Andrews, obviously, but Marquise Brown was kind of key to them. But for the Cardinals, giving up the number 23 pick for Marquise Brown plus an 100 overall pick is such a win for the Cardinals.
Yeah, and I think they essentially that trade, in my opinion, was to satisfy Kyler Murray. They've been on the fringe with him the past couple months, deleting Instagram stuff, this and that. Him and Hollywood had a really, really strong connection, not just on the field, but off the field when they were both at Oklahoma. So I think this was kind of a, hey, let's go get his guy. And he essentially is a plug and play for Christian Kirk. Like they don't have strong route trees. They're pretty much one direction type runners, straight ahead. So, I mean, it's essentially like the Christian Kirk replacement, someone to keep safeties honest so you can't double down on DeAndre Hopkins. But I think that trade was solely to kind of smooth over the lack of relationship or the rocky relationship with Kyler Murray, the past handful of months.
So look, what is done to satisfy one quarterback on the other end, the Ravens gambled here, man. The tweets that Lamar Jackson was sending right after, where he's like, what? Literally, it was WTF.
WTF.
These guys were like great on the field and off the field, and like out of nowhere, you're already depleted, and then they just trade your number one receiver.
They're both South Florida kids, so they both have that connection anyway. But I like you said, man, those tweets, like, social media speaks a lot nowadays. Like you can tell where a player's head is at by what they put on social media, and that didn't look great, from, not to say from Lamar Jackson's behalf, but for the Baltimore Ravens.
I like their GM. What's it, Ozzie Newsome? Yeah, I mean, he's great, man. It's just like you said, Jeremiah. I mean, they're making great draft picks. They know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Well, the Colts did not get Willis, so that's the update. So
yeah,
it's really going to be interesting.
Did you hear what Steve Smith came out and said about the Baker Mayfield to Carolina rumors? Mm-hmm. Dude, there are so many people that are like adamant that they do not want Baker Mayfield at their franchise, whether it's a starter, backup, just in the uniform at all. Apparently he kind of has that mindset to him anyway. He's a headache. He's arrogant. But apparently a couple of the reports that I read the past handful of days is that he was essentially like a locker room cancer. You know what I mean? Like, if it's not Baker's way, it's no way. And there is no seeing from a different perspective from Baker. It's only Baker's perspective. And, it's not good when you're in a locker room with 53 other guys and everyone thinks that there's a different way to do a job. You can't just have it one way.
Yeah. Now, I want to ask you guys quickly about a team in the NL East. Oh, not the NL East. I'm thinking of baseball. Sorry, baseball's in my head. The AFC East. I know we talked a little bit about the Jets, but now the Patriots, they drafted an unexpected guy, a guard out of Tennessee, Chattanooga, Cole Strange. Any thoughts on this? I'm going to be honest. I did not watch any film on him yet. The only type of film I've watched on him was Sean McVay saying that he
thought he was going to be there at 104.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the only video I watched. So, AJ, I guess I'll ask you, what are your thoughts on him?
they thought he was going to be there at 104. Obviously, they were like, well, we wasted our time, scouting this guy because he's gone at 29. Really, he's not super, super polished from a technique perspective, but he's a mauler. Like he loves, he flourishes under contact, strong lower half. They said some of the big knocks on him are obviously his arm length. He doesn't have long arms. And if you're playing a defensive end that does have long arms and you're not able to get inside their pads, it makes a hard time keeping containment from, a Josh Allen type of defensive end.
He's
that
a
is
center,
long,
right? He's a center though, right? Or is he a tackle? He's a tackle.
I think he's a guard or a tackle, yeah.
Okay.
So the length of arms was a little bit of a concern, but obviously not as big of a concern for Belichick as what we all think it is.
But the Patriots they did the most Patriot thing they could, which is draft somebody that nobody's ever heard of in the first round.
Out of UT Chattanooga, yeah.
Right, and he's a guard. And then they did kind of the unpatriot thing that they went out and got the combine warrior, right? This wide receiver, the guy from Baylor ran like a 4.2.
Tyquan Anderson, I think is his name or something like that.
Tyquan Anderson, right. So it runs like a 4.2 40. That's
fast.
Maybe that is what they do. Yeah.
Wow.
What we got per league sources of feeling inside?
Oh, okay.
Oh, pec tear. Oh, wow. That's not just a shoulder issue.
No. I'd still be down with the Dolphins taking him at 102. I'd still be down with it.
If you know the product you're going to get, like where we're at in the draft right now, we're creeping into, the end of the third round kind of. I don't think that's a bad pick in the 80s or the 90s or even into the fourth round. I would take a guy at that level because the production you're going to get from him, right? We know what he does on the field. I don't know why you wouldn't take a chance, like especially if you're not necessarily linebacker needy, but when he's healthy, he's going to be a plug and play. I would assume so. I don't know why you in the 80s or 90s why you don't say, hey, let's pop him on our 53-man roster. Let's rehab him for a year. No expectation to get him on the field. And when he's healthy, we know what he can do out there.
Well, you got to figure one of these teams, isn't it like Minnesota or somebody's got like another 9 picks coming? I mean, like,
by the way, the Patriots have a ton of picks in this third round. The Dolphins only have that one, and that's the third to last pick of this round.
I think don't the Chiefs have like 9 or 11 picks or something like that this year?
Yeah, the Chiefs have a lot.
We have a lot too. Jacksonville.
Y'all have 9, don't you?
Yeah, and then we have some in the 5th round. I think we have some in the 5th round. We traded. I think we traded one of our 6th, and then one of our 4ths. I don't know if Dean falls though. Like, do you think he's going to fall all the way down to like 5th and 6th round? I don't think so. I wouldn't think so.
I tell you what. I guess it depends on the severity of it. I wouldn't think he fall. I remember N'Kobe Dean was your sexy pick during our little draft grade interview. That's who you wanted. But to be honest with you, with everything that you saw over the past year in that Georgia defense national championship game, I don't see why he would make it past this round. You'd think maybe like a Minnesota who's got an Eric Kendricks, who's got a Anthony Barr. They have good linebackers. You can afford to sit him for a year, or even like Green Bay. They've got Devondre Campbell. They just drafted Walker, the kid out of Georgia, in there, which they're really shoving it to Aaron Rodgers, man. They're really giving it to Aaron Rodgers. I wouldn't have been surprised if they took a punter in the first 2 rounds after like the shun that they've been doing to him. But they got Christian Watson. He's going to be. I think he's going to be a heck of a receiver at the next level.
Look, there's so many teams with multiple draft picks that somebody's going to take that gamble. I mean, you've gotten so many teams that are drafting so many picks in this. Like you said, Jacksonville's going to come away with a ton. Kansas City's going to come away with a ton. Minnesota, the Jets, the Giants, that at some point it's worth just a flyer to throw out there if you can afford to wait on it a year.
I feel like Bill Belichick is the perfect person that you could trust. I feel like the Patriots, if the Patriots believe that he'll be healthy soon, and that's probably not by training camp, but when I say soon, sometime this season, the Patriots, if they take a gamble on him, I trust their process. What Bill Belichick's doing with that organization is obviously always good, except the Patriots are not always the best teams when it comes to the draft.
Well, I mean, if you're looking at from the fourth round going forward, right? Because we'll assume the third round's almost over. From the fourth round going forward, do you expect anyone from the fourth round, going to the seventh round? Do you expect them to give you solid production on an NFL roster? You know what I mean? Like, is every pick that you pick from there forward suspected to make the 53-man roster at the end of the year?
Maybe an Evan McPherson type of player.
So why not grab a Nakobe Dean at that point? Because when he's healthy, you know what you get. These guys are healthy, and you may not see them as it's a diamond in the rough type of thing. Exactly. You may not see them long term on your roster, or maybe you're grabbing them with like practice squad potential from these rounds going forward. I'd take a chance on him at in the third or fourth round easily.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, he's
a
playmaker. He's gonna get you turnovers. He's good in coverage. I mean, he just flies around the field. I mean, he's not gonna hurt your defense.
Yeah, that was the sexy pick coming into the NFL draft. That was the number one overall sexy pick, man.
So we touched a little bit on Breece Hall, but who would have thought by this point in the third round there'd be more running backs taken than quarterbacks, and you finally got as many tight ends as quarterbacks. So Breece Hall, I like a lot, of course. I really like Ken Walker too, though. I think Seattle got a nice pick with Kenneth Walker, and seeing how he's going to fit there. Buffalo, hopefully they missed, but they went out and got Dalvin's brother. They drafted the Cook from Georgia,
James Cook.
So I mean that damn, if Buffalo gets a running game.
I was about to say, it seems like Buffalo, since Josh Allen's been there, there's Devin Singletary, Zach Moss, LaShawn McCoy was there for a handful of snaps. It seems like there hasn't been any consistency in the run game at all. Like, it doesn't matter.
Hey, watch what you're saying. I'm one of the few FAU fans out there. I love my boy.
Yeah, you're Devin Singletary. Yeah. And I like Singletary. It's just he's in an offense that's focused around Josh Allen because Josh Allen can do both.
And by the way, speaking of FAU, they had the John Mackey Award talent a few years ago, Harrison Bryant. He went late. It shows you that tight end is not, if you win the best tight end in college, which is the John Mackey Award, it's still not the most valuable spot because I think the first tight end went in the second round, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was Trey McBride out of where is he out of? Maybe
State.
Colorado
State, yeah.
And then the Virginia tight end went too.
He went to Indianapolis, Jelani Woods.
Yeah.
Not a big tight end, not a big tight end class. Like, I mean, in this draft.
No, it's like when you're picking these guys, it's like, fingers crossed we get production out of them. Yeah. If not, they can be projects. I don't think there's any plug and play. I think Trey McBride was probably the closest, or Jelani Woods, just because of his size. He's 6'7". He's got Mo Alley Cox type of frame. But like Andrew said, the tight end class really isn't anything to smile about. If you get one, you get one. If not, we'll wait till free agency next year.
Well, remember, Travis Kelce was drafted with the 63rd pick. That's the third round in the 2013 draft. So you could always get some talent.
As we talk about it, there you go. Denver rolls the dice and takes the third tight end of the draft.
And that's smart because Noah Fant was shipped out to Seattle in that Russell Wilson trade. And by the way, the Broncos are going to need more than wide receivers, except maybe not. I mean, Russell Wilson never really utilized the tight end system in Seattle.
Hey, he's got probably two of the best running backs he's ever had. Marshawn Lynch, sure. When obviously the not handing the ball off at the 1 yard line. I thought Chris Carson was extremely underrated, just couldn't stay healthy. But Melvin Gordon coming back, he's a threat, catching the ball out of the backfield. And
Javonte Williams, man.
Javonte Williams is a
flag on this kid. I'm telling you, he is an
absolute bowling ball, but at like 5'10". He's a freak and he's a freak athlete for his size too. To be able to be a shifty like that at 5'10", 230 pounds.
I still remember his best college play was against the Miami Hurricanes. You remember that?
He truck sticked like old school Madden where you flick up the right stick.
Yeah.
He truck sticked Amari Carter, man. If I'm Amari Carter, I'm going to set my helmet down on the sideline. I'm going to go take a seat and I'm going to get a big glass of Gatorade is what I'm going to do.
Well, is that the game where like him and Michael Carter both went off? There was some game when him and Michael Carter they had like 500 rushing yards. It was like a high school football game, dude.
They had like almost 600 combined. against Miami. And the thing is Miami had on those Miami Knights jerseys or whatever, the black with the fluorescent numbers, and it was like they stepped on the field thinking that the jersey was going to win them the game, like it was a fashion show, and then they came out and they got their poo pushed in by the two running backs, and then Sam Howell did him in pretty good too.
Hey EJ, we got your guy Shaq Quarterman from Miami.
Don't even get me started, man. Don't even get me started. I actually had a Instagram beef with Michael Pickney a while back. He was Shaq Quarterman's running mate. And real quick story, there was quite a few games in their senior season that I thought they quit on. Body language was bad. We lost to FIU that year. Barely beat Louisville, lost to Duke. Some horrendous things happened in Miami uniforms on the football field. And I called Pinkney out and essentially said, this is coming from a guy that quit on his team his senior year. And it actually went to DMs. He DM'd me, and we had a full-blown conversation in DMs because I called him out on a thread because old Miami guys were chiming in about, because Manny Diaz sucked. Everyone knew he sucked. The culture was bad. And old alma maters were calling the players out. They were calling the staff out, everything. And Michael Pinkney had made a comment that somebody posted, and then I commented on it. And I had to block his mom because his mom was getting into me. And I was like, look, as much beef that could be between me and Michael Pinkney, I'm not going to go at mom. Like, she doesn't deserve it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
She may not be informed. She might not be educated about the sport, whatever. I'm not going to go at her. And and Michael Pinkney, I was like, dude, look at your stats. Like, you were supposed to be the ACC Defensive Player of the Year at that point, the linebacker of the year at that point in time. And you laid an egg against Louisville, laid an egg against Duke, and quit during FIU. And he was like Louisville or Duke, I led the team in tackles, and I was like, dude, you had 6. And he was like Louisville, he said something about Louisville, and he had 4 tackles. And then he was like, but I'll give you the FIU game. And I was like, dude, you have just voided every point you had before then, because you just gave me my point. You just admitted to quitting. So why would I believe anything you say after that, dude? It was a big, I'll just share the DMs with you guys. It was a big ordeal. I got a bunch of flack about it on Instagram because everyone was like, man, he's just a hater. And I'm like, no, these are numbers, man. These are numbers. You can't deny them. You had 6 tackles against Duke, and you were the leading tackler. You crapped the bed against FIU, first loss to that program ever. And you're going to tell me that I don't know what I could see your body language from the field, man, or from the house.
Did you think Quarterman was a good?
I like Quarterman a lot better. He was a much better tackler. He filled gaps a lot better than Michael Pinkney did. In space, if you put him on a tight end or a running back out of the backfield, he was a little stiff in the hips. But that last year of those guys, that Manny Diaz era was just so rough to really give any credit to really any player because the culture was just so bad. But I was a bigger fan of Shaq Quarterman than I was of Michael Pinkney, because Michael Pinkney admitted to me that he quit during the FIU game. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, everything you just said before that, why would I even believe it?
We talked a little bit about too some of the trades that happened. Again, being sandwiched between Baltimore and Philly. I was talking to a good friend of mine who's an Eagles fan, and as a Dolphin fan, we were comparing, like, literally, man, Jalen Hurts and Tua, they're kind of on the same path this year. After the A.J. Brown pick, now Jalen Hurts can't say he doesn't have talent around him, right? Same with Tua. They've actually put talent around these guys that, like, this is their make or break. And Philly actually has 2 first-rounders just like Miami does next year.
Yeah.
So you're almost playing with house money. Like, you gave them all the tools.
Yeah. Even before A.J. Brown, if Miles Sanders could have stayed healthy, he had Zach Ertz, he had Dallas Goedert, he's got Devontae Smith. I think Jalen Reagor's just been used kind of improperly. He's got a good offensive line. Kelsey leading the front and the middle. I don't really think he's ever had like what Lamar Jackson has right now. I don't think we could equate what Hurts has to dude,
It really is.
you're
Like, I don't know what Baltimore's going to do.
You're trying to give this guy's, vying for an extension, and it's like, hey, we're going to try to justify not giving you extension by getting rid of all your weapons. It seems like that's what they're doing. They're sabotaging his potential contract extension.
Yeah. And I mean, all their running backs, well, hopefully Dobbins is going to come back good after last year. But yeah.
And same with Gus Edwards.
Oh, there's Nakobe Dean right there.
Yep.
There we
he
go.
Just went to Philly.
Your Philadelphia Eagles. Hey, why not?
That's a steal, I think.
Give them credit. Hey,
I'm on board, Andrew. At what is that pick? What 80?
83.
What is that pick? 83. You take a first team All-American that has a pec tear and a meniscus issue. He's going to be back on the field and probably by summer, and he's going to be a plug and play.
In a few years, when he makes the Pro Bowl, you have to give the Eagles credit because every NFL team, except actually the Dolphins, and maybe not, every NFL team had a chance to get him.
Can we even give the Pro Bowl credit anymore?
I don't even know.
That's a good question. That's a good question.
Like I get the All Pro because I think that's a different kind of voting, but like the fan voting.
Mac Jones did not deserve to make the Pro Bowl.
No, man, no.
Yeah.
I don't know how many times I can say no to that, but no.
It's like throw Trevor Lawrence in there as well. It's like Trevor Lawrence, you should have been invited.
Yeah, I would even disagree with that. I think it was funny because like, what did he throw? Like his longest pass was what? Maybe 10 yards, 10 yards.
They played a game against the Bills where he didn't throw a ball. They played a game against the Bills where he did not throw the football.
And you know what? That's why they lost in that playoff game because he should have prepared. He should have started throwing.
Well, he thought he was going to turn around and hand it off to Harris and Ramondre Stevenson, and they were going to carry the load. And I think he's going to be a serviceable quarterback, but unless they have like a ridiculously stellar defense, I don't think he's going to take them to the promised land. I don't think he's that guy for them.
Yeah. By the way, Malik Willis is active on Twitter. I'm going to show this tweet right here in a second. This is
Did he say something?
Funny. Yes, and you know what? It's good to have some humor because some people can't deal with this hate. But he just responded to this tweet. It says, "Who want me?" and it says 100% no, and he showed the laughing emoji. So it's nice that Willis is still, hopefully, keeping his head up. Look,
Andrew, I know you touched on this last time.
Haters wrong. He's going to prove the haters wrong.
Andrew, I know you tapped on this, and maybe you did too, Jeremiah. Last time we talked about the little draft preview. If I'm drafting on character, Malik Willis is the number one overall pick all day long. And I think it sucks because he's like internally, he's such a good person, giving away clothes, combine clothes to homeless people, no cameras around, like all that stuff is irrelevant to him. He's just a good human being. Now
there were questions about that. This isn't a question for itself. The guy's Twitter profile was like something like editor, not video editor, like promote, like an agent. He was like an agent. So I don't know if you guys saw that conspiracy, but it might have been set up.
Oh
yeah, no, I didn't read anything about it.
Yeah, the Twitter bio was like NFL agent.
Okay,
or something like that. So who knows? But hey,
this kid DeMarvin Leal that just got drafted by Pittsburgh, defensive tackle, that he's going to be a stud, man. He's going to be a stud. He rushes outside, 3 technique inside. He's going to be fun to watch. He's going to fit that Pittsburgh mold on that D line really well, man. Him, Hayward, T.J. Watt is a daggum animal.
When you go back and look at the Steelers, there's a reason Tomlin has never finished under 500. That's insane. He's never had a year under 500 because Pittsburgh just does Pittsburgh things. They just
he played with a statue.
Guys, and they know what. Look, the other stuff when they roll the dice, right?
Yeah, when they roll the dice, it works.
What? Well, but for them, Antonio Brown. When he started acting like a fool, they said, okay, go ahead. When Le'Veon Bell said, I'll sit, they said sit. And none of
Hey,
those guys have taken off when they left.
I was about to say,
Mike
and what did Antonio Brown do? He went and made a fool of himself at 2 other organizations.
Yeah.
Le'Veon Bell crapped the bed with the Jets. He crapped the bed with the Chiefs. He couldn't get himself going. He crapped the bed with the Ravens this past year. Couldn't get himself going. So you think like, okay, when they got rid of Antonio Brown, it's like, okay, maybe it was something wrong with Pittsburgh, and then he goes and does the things he does. Then they get rid of Le'Veon
by
Bell.
the way, I'm going to excuse myself for a second. I'll be back. The Mets have 2 outs in the 9th inning. They have a combined no-hitter. Will only be their second no-hitter in MLB history. I'll be back in a second.
Who's on the mound?
Edwin Diaz.
Well, yeah, but again, combined. We'll get into that later. That's for a different show. But I'm so sick of pitch counts, man. Kershaw going perfect through
Stupid.
7.
That is so stupid, man. That is
like.
Oh.
I did love it, and I'll get off of it after that. But I did love not far after that. Walker Buehler threw the first shutout the other night, and they said like coming into the 9th inning, like it wasn't even a discussion. Like Dave Roberts just looked at him, and Bueller's like, "No, I'm finishing this." like you know
what I'm kind of surprised about. The Patriots just took Marcus Jones, a corner out of Houston. You lose J.C. Jackson, and you really don't have a premier corner on your team outside of J.C. Jackson. And they go and take the interior offensive lineman from Chat with their first, with the 29th overall pick. Dude, that doesn't make sense.
Leaving Booth and a lot of other guys sitting out there. Booth fell a little bit too.
Well, yeah, and then Tennessee got Roger McCreary at the 35th overall pick. But I get why they picked him, because that Shaq Mason, they traded him to Tampa Bay earlier this year, so they needed another interior threat. But like, what receivers do you plan on stopping this year? Like your pass. You're good. Like your pass rush better get home all day, right? If you don't, if not, your corners are going to be on an island, and I don't want Marcus Jones being on an island with Stephon Diggs or Elijah Moore in that division.
Yeah, they're going to have to play some teams like Buffalo who have those stud wide receivers.
Yeah, man.
Like
you got Gabriel out.
Do you think they need more help in the secondary?
Yeah, I mean, to me, it make like you lose one. It's hard to replace J.C. Jackson, obviously, but we'll see how he really is. Now being out at which the Chargers are going to have a nasty secondary. Derwin James, Asante Samuel Jr. on one side, J.C. Jackson on the other, and then you have Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa rushing you.
Yeah, that's another team that I thought had another killer draft. I mean, had a really good draft last year, picked up Rashawn Slater.
Yes, dude. Yes.
Stud, and then they come in this year and have another great draft.
Yes.
Picking up, like you said, defensive linemen, and I think they're going to be a fun team to watch.
I think they're going to be fun, especially in the division. Like they get to play Mahomes twice. They get to play, Derek Carr twice and Devontae Adams, which I don't know. Obviously, it didn't come to fruition, but there was a lot of speculation that the Raiders were going to try to move on from Darrell Waller. Obviously, it didn't. The Titans just traded up to pick 86. So I wonder if they're going to go Malik Willis with this pick, guys. I wonder if we're going to take Michael Vick 2.0. with this pick. Probably not. We'll probably go for an offensive lineman.
It is official. Malik Willis to Tennessee. Wow.
Shut up.
I'm not even. No, I'm not.
Yes,
kidding.
you are. Yes, you are.
Look on Twitter.
Okay, hold on.
I wouldn't.
You're freaking lying, man.
Dude, that is bad for the Jaguars. I think you guys get him.
Yeah. Yep, a Titan. I'm not kidding. Hey, EJ, here on FLTs, we report only factual information. Malik Willis.
You have it on your phone?
Yeah, I'll share the screen.
Yeah.
I got it.
Oh, man, it just got me all woo.
Here we go. Yeah, Malik Willis is a Tennessee Titan. And I can confirm right here, the Titans.
Well, it's about to announce the pick right now.
Malik Willis. So this is huge. Wow. Jeremiah missed this. I don't know where he is, but come on. This is insane.
I think his doorbell rang and he had to his dog was barking. Yeah,
Dude,
it says they're selecting me 86th overall. So I was right, because 2022 is Tannehill's last guaranteed salary season.
Wow. So this is EJ. Look, man. First of all,
That's a good pick.
I'm glad to be live while doing this. And EJ, we're glad to have you on FL Teams. Even though you're a Titans fan, man, you are the perfect person to speak to right now.
Yeah.
You are standing here as a Titans fan with your Titans hat, your Titans beanie, sorry.
Yep.
You now have a new QB. Is there a threat that he is the starter in the coming years?
Oh, in the coming years, absolutely. This year, I don't, unless he shows, something head over heels in preseason. I mean, a training camp, or if Ryan Tannehill, knock on wood, sustains an injury, I don't foresee him taking over anything this year. Maybe as a package type QB to keep defenses honest. But let's go, man. I don't.
You just put him in on quarter. I mean, what are you talking about? You put him in on like a 3rd and 1 or a 4th and 1, and you QB sneak it. I mean, the guys.
Yeah, like a package type. Yeah, against Jacksonville on a 3rd and 1.
Yeah.
Hey, this is huge. Let me tell you something about Willis. Willis has one of the highest ceilings we've ever seen, but that comes with one of the lowest floors. But that's why you take the risk. Oh my God, this late in the draft, I'm all in the risk.
86.
Hey, guess what? How can you call an 86 overall pick a bust? Let's be honest. How can you call an 86 overall pick a bust? You really can't.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a great pick. I mean, not
only that, but someone who was projected to be a top 10 pick, and he fell to 86.
Yeah.
To be fair, he was projected to be the first quarterback off the board, and we've seen we've seen Pickett and Ritter. Ritter just went a handful of picks
Sam
before.
Howell, I bet you, was definitely getting drafted in probably the 4th round, I'd say. But like we saw Jake Fromm go to the Bills a few years ago. It's like, QB just get taken late. I know this is kind of a stupid conversation. I just wonder who would take Howell. I'm thinking maybe someone like the Vikings that don't have a true backup.
This is the reason why I like this deal is because at 86, there is no pressure on him at all. There is no expectation.
Exactly.
There is nothing that fans are looking at Malik Willis as a franchise savior.
And he just wants to prove people wrong that he should have been drafted in the 1st round.
Right. He's not going to get to do it this year, unfortunately. But the franchise, they will give him the keys. I think after the 2022 season, I think there will be, what's his nuts? Tannehill is owed, a king's ransom worth of money that up until 2025. So unless we make a Super Bowl appearance or win it, I think that this could be Tannehill's last year, unless he, restructures his contract down to next to nothing. I think this could be the last year we see Tannehill in a Titans uniform.
Yeah, EJ, back to, we were talking about Willis, and he reminds me of Garrard. Like, he's got that.
Yes, I love David Garrard, man.
He's a cannon. I mean, he could throw that ball 50 yards.
And if you remember David Garrard, whether it was his legs or with his arm, he always made the right play. Yeah. Always made the right play with the football. Yeah, he could throw it on a freaking rope at 60 yards and it not move the entire time. I think Willis has some technique things to work on with his footwork and with getting his hips open and stuff. But at 86th overall, I mean, you expect anyone at that point to be a project to a degree, right?
Yeah.
I'll take that all fucking day, man. I'll take that all daggum day.
Dude, and I mean, like, he's gonna be, I think they're gonna use him like in the run too, kind of like with how Mariota is kind of a runner.
Yeah.
Like he could get out of the pocket and take off.
And here's the thing too. If it's shotgun or under center, doesn't matter which one. If you have him, Malik Willis, we just agree he's a threat to run, and you have Derrick Henry in the backfield, which one are you going to key on? You going to set the edge for Malik Willis, or are you going to crowd the interior to stop Derrick Henry on a 3rd and short or 4th and short? So to me, or if
time out.
What?
Breaking news. What? According to I hope I'm pronouncing this guy's name right. Dov Kleiman from NFL Network. Dov.
Okay, go ahead.
Dov. The Panthers are making progress on a trade. You can guess.
They're getting rid of Sam Darnold, Christian McCaffrey.
For Browns QB Baker Mayfield. Wow.
What? Shut it. No.
Oh, he's here.
Hey, Titans drafted Malik Willis.
Who did?
Titans just did at 86th overall. They came up to get him. Yeah.
Hey, Jeremiah, while you were gone, you missed a lot. So the Mets got the no-hitter. We got the one and only Titans fan witnessing
Yeah.
Malik Willis, and now
and
the Panthers
not,
are making progress on a trade for Baker Mayfield. This is
not
mind-boggling.
only that, but a division rival, the Jacksonville Jaguars, gets a live reaction to Malik Willis going to the Titans.
Now we have to deal with that. Great.
Yeah, you gotta love it.
But to ask you, Andrew, from like a strategic standpoint, because Willis hasn't made a name for himself in the NFL yet, do you still key on Henry in one of those situations, or do you leave a safety coming down in the box just to have an eye on Malik Willis too? What would be your idea at that?
I would still be having a safety come down a key on
almost like
Willis.
a spy.
Yeah, because I mean, I could see them like utilizing the RPO with Willis and that just being like totally messing defenses up. Like they're like, we don't know what they're gonna do. I mean, he like, Willis can tuck and run, or he hands it off to Henry, and then Henry's carrying three people down the field.
So I guess to throw a little curveball in your scenario with bringing a safety down, what happens if it's play action and he goes over top to Trey Burks or something? Do you bring that safety as far down and play and sell out for the run, or do you bring him kind of in the middle somewhere and still play the pass a little bit?
I would probably play it safe and have
the sell out for the run.
Well, I would have the middle. I would play the middle of the field just because
you don't know. Just like a center field.
Yeah, because Willis has got a cannon. I mean, he's
so this is interesting. I'm getting in some new details. So discussions are picking up, and Cleveland will pay part of Mayfield's salary. I'm just wondering, where does Darnold go? Does Darnold go to be Deshaun Watson's backup in Cleveland, or does he stay with Carolina?
Is he involved in the trade?
Well, this is just like discussions are picking up.
I think.
But
I
this is like a prediction.
Yeah.
What?
I mean, Baker compete.
No, yeah. You have them compete until even through preseason. I wouldn't get rid of Sam Darnold. I mean, which if you're starting a franchise, are you taking Sam Darnold or are you taking Baker Mayfield? It's a toss up for both, right? So you might as well just let them compete anyway. See which one gets the better of who. Robbie Anderson, who is one of the leading receivers for Carolina, has been pretty vocal about not wanting Baker Mayfield making his way to Carolina.
I'd take Baker.
Robbie Anderson would head to Cleveland.
Yeah,
I would too.
Cleveland could use another one.
Ever since Belichick got a hold of Sam Darnold when he was with the Jets, it doesn't seem like he's been the same quarterback. Like it just doesn't make throws. He's got a great arm, throws a tight spiral, but it seems like he's still seeing ghosts in the pocket from when Bill Belichick terrorized him, and he did. Bill, what did he throw 6 picks that game?
Yeah,
Bill Belichick terrorized him.
Both of these guys were high draft picks who have obviously found themselves in this position because they underwhelmed. So you put two of them in a ring and last man standing, right? I got to tell you this, and EJ, I mean, I'm sure you studied more than we did about it, but I don't think Tennessee probably had any thought in the world coming into this draft that they'd have a chance to draft Malik Willis. I don't think they ever thought that was a possibility, especially in the third round.
Well, I think too, the more people saw him fall, the more teams were like, oh, he'll be here at our next pick because, team A, B, C, and D were in front of him. And it's like, they don't need a quarterback. But with how trade happy teams have been, obviously what Tennessee just did, jumping up to 86th and still keeping their 90th overall pick.
Yeah, exactly.
They were able to get in there. But, like Andrew, like Isaac and what Isaac and Andrew said, at 86th overall, no one's looking at him to be a franchise savior. There are no expectations on him. He could be a bust at 86th overall. And me personally, I'd be able to live with that because anyone from that pick, later could be a bust. You might find a diamond in the rough, sure. And that's great. Like a Tom Brady, but the chances of that happening are, like slim to none. Right.
And look, as a guy who watched a lot of Ryan Tannehill, Miami's biggest flaw and mistake, well, we made a bunch with Ryan, but one of them was we never tested him. We never tested him. Every time they brought in a quarterback, it wasn't to compete. It was just to back Tannehill up. And so, you know what, if he had this great year and then he has the playoff stinker that he has this year, I've always found it really weird that I guess people get fragile as they go forward, right? Like quarterbacks or anything else. Like, what's wrong with having to compete for your job? I mean, that's what everybody did from the first time they ever went to Pop Warner, right? You had 3 or 4 guys that wanted to be quarterback, and the best one got it. Like,
well, and here's the thing too with Malik Willis is that he may not start this year, and internally people may know it, but you don't have to tell Ryan Tannehill that.
no,
You don't have to tell Ryan Tannehill that his job is safe, and we just took what was expected to be a top 10 pick at number 87 overall. You don't have to tell him that. You can light a bit of a fire under his butt because we were talking while you were gone, past 2022, this is the last year that Ryan Tannehill's contract is guaranteed. So 2023, 2024, and 2025, there is no guarantee that Ryan Tannehill will be a Tennessee Titans QB. So unless we make an AFC Championship game appearance, Super Bowl appearance, I think those are kind of like the bottom line for Tannehill to work out the rest of his contract. I don't have to tell Tannehill that he's the surefire starter next year. I'm not going to tell him that.
I'm liking this stance though. The NFL teams seem to more now. They're starting to get their backbone, let's say, back, right? You've got the Baker Mayfields or the Debos or whoever else that's like, I want out. And they're like, well, too bad. You're under contract.
Yeah,
like,
you're making a king's ransom to play a game for a living, right? You're going to abide by the rules that we set for you in the language in your contract. We're still going to pay you, and you're still going to play.
See, I think, look, here's the deal. It's business, right? And I have to go through this all the time, day in and day out, is people get so sensitive about things. It's not a personal thing. Nobody's saying that you're a bad person, you're anything else. It's a business. Are you the best for that position? And if you're not, then fight for it. I don't know.
Well, we just saw a business decision with the Titans, inevitably trading AJ Brown, and I just wanted to touch on that really quick. I know it was a big ordeal with one of the trades that went on. I read a few reports that $20 million a year was offered to AJ Brown, and there was some money that was supposed to be built in that was incentivized payment. So he was supposed to be making with incentives close to $22 million a year with the Titans deal that they had given him. His camp turned around and said, no, not enough. He's worth more than that. The Titans were, their hands were tied at that point. When the trade came through, when the trade was offered from Philly to Tennessee, Tennessee tried to patch it up and say, hey, what can we do guaranteed money to not put this on our books? Because I know as a Jacksonville fan, David Long has turned into a heck of a linebacker. Amani Hooker and Kevin Byard have turned into one of the better safety tandems in the league. You have Simmons coming up on his 5th-year option next year where he's going to be owed almost $11 million. And then I don't care what people say, punters are extremely valuable in this league, and Brett Kern's one of them, right? You can win games with a good punter sometimes. You have those guys coming up under contract next year, and then you have Tannehill who's due 20-some-odd million. When that trade came through, that offer came through from Philly, Tennessee said, hey, what can we do guaranteed-wise to get this money off the books, essentially? And A.J. Brown's camp came back, and they knew it wasn't going to be met. They said, we want $80 million guaranteed. They knew it wasn't going to be met. It was an unreachable number. And so that's when Tennessee, essentially pulled the trigger on the Philadelphia deal. But, to lose a talent like that sucks. And to be fair, he's never been even an 1,100-yard receiver. I think he only had I think he was like 50 or 70 yards short of it this year with missing 4 games. So you don't really know how that would have played out in the long run. But for someone who sees like a sport like we do from more than just an emotional perspective, we understand that there's finances involved and there's still a business with, with these players. And I don't care what anyone says. I'm a big Traylon Burks fan. I was a Traylon Burks fan even when he had Felipe Franks throwing him the ball. The guy is a stud. He's bigger than AJ Brown. He's 6'3", almost 220, and he's got a lot of Deebo Samuel type skill when he has the football in his hand. And he's faster than his 4.47 time shows. When you get a football in your hand and you're running behind pads, you're running with a purpose, right? You're a little bit meaner when you run with that football. It's sad to see him go because he was a really good receiver. He fit into the community real well. He did a lot for Nashville. But at the same time, like the finances made sense because Tennessee has a lot of young players coming up that have developed really well, that we don't want. I don't want to see walk. And David Long has been a good piece. Amani Hooker's been a good piece. Simmons is probably a top 3 interior tackle, defensive tackle in the league. I want to make sure those guys remain on our roster. And if we have to lose A.J. Brown for a potential replacement, obviously being a college athlete, we don't know what his NFL production is yet. I'm willing to take that chance. And after seeing how his camp came back and was like, we want $80 million, dude, that's an insurmountable number. You know what I mean?
It's
like
crazy.
Even for quarterbacks don't even get barely that much guaranteed
80
money.
million? Like there's no
80
way. 80
And so-
million with his numbers? I don't know.
Yeah. Go look at his numbers. The past 3 years, he was on his 4th year of his rookie deal. Coming into his 4th year, he's never eclipsed 1,100 yards. He's been 25 yards short, and he's been 50 yards short. In his rookie year, he had like 865 yards. So injuries or not, they're a part of the game, and we have to take that into account when we're giving someone a contract, right? Your best ability is your availability. And if you're missing 4 games here or there, that's a lot for a 17-game season. It's not an NBA season or a baseball season or an NHL season where you have 80, 90, 160 games to make up that 4-game slack.
Right.
So this is where we were getting on to a pre-game or a pre-show, is that this is where the Titans fans were like, man, if there's anyone to hate in this equation, hate Jacksonville. Hate Jacksonville because they gave Christian Kirk $90-80 million, whatever they gave him. They set the standard so high for subpar receivers. And maybe Christian Kirk turns out to be a wide receiver number 1. Who knows? But the production didn't show that the bar was supposed to be set that high for Christian Kirk. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and the thing is that's interesting is I'm reading Jags Twitter, and they're really mad at Trent Baalke because he's not drafted a wide receiver. and I mean, I'm not defending Trent Baalke, but I just don't understand how crowded our wide receiver room is and how much we paid for guys like Zay Jones and Christian Kirk, and
you still got Marvin Jones on your roster.
Marvin Jones Jr., who are,
and
I think is
Laviska Shenault, who I'm a big fan of. I think he needs the ball in his hands more. I loved him when he was at Colorado. I'm a big Laviska Shenault fan. I wanted Tennessee to draft him.
Now I'll tell you, speaking of Florida teams who's doing a good job, and it's really going on unnoticed because this team hasn't had any first-round picks. The Buccaneers, they addressed offensive line and not just protecting Tom Brady, but getting young talent.
Hey, do you see who they just
I just saw a running back, which they needed.
Yeah.
The Buccaneers, I think, unnoticed, quietly is the correct word, addressing their needs.
Go watch his film, Rashad White. This is who I wanted Tennessee
from
to draft.
From ASU.
Yes, if we couldn't get James Cook, which he's gone, and I'm a big Kyron Williams fan, Notre Dame man. I'm a big Kyron Williams fan because he's such a threat in the backfield.
I think the Buccaneers are doing good right here.
Well, I don't see a point when you have a Derrick Henry to load like a Breece Hall or a Walker into the backfield and have 2 power backs. You know, I was a big Rashad White fan. Because of his versatility, and he loves contact at the same time. Y'all got a heck of a pick with Tampa Bay did with that one.
Yeah, dude. The backs can fit so many roles. There's so many. You've got your bruisers, you've got your whites like that can still make plays. Kyron Williams.
Yep.
So there's a lot of versatility there. Sorry, Isaac, I cut you off on that. What?
No, you're absolutely fine. So I guess we're going to be ending the show soon, but I do have a question for you all, and I think we'll go round table here very quickly. So Kenny Pickett went to the Steelers, Desmond Ridder went to the Falcons, Malik Willis went to the Titans. I know these next 2 picks may not matter, but these are QBs that are not small. They have arms, so you never know the talent they may have as they build up. Sam Howell and Matt Corral. Let's start with you, Jeremiah. Where do you have both of them going? I know it's really a long shot. They can go to any team that needs a backup. But Howell and Corral are not small. They have big arms. They are guys that could turn out to be good unexpectedly.
Hey, I think I don't know exactly where, but I think Sam Howell has a chance to be maybe the best quarterback in the draft.
We're speaking to a UNC guy. Let's hear it.
But no, you know what I'm saying, though, is here's the thing. When you look at Sam Howell's numbers last year, when he was actually surrounded with some talent, right, at Carolina, Carolina doesn't have a football program. Sam Howell put up big numbers.
Exactly.
And he physically plays the role.
In a tough ACC
Sam Howell's going to be a
division.
great one.
Hey, can I read you guys a couple of the comments from so yesterday when AJ Brown was traded, there was, I'm not a Titans fan anymore. This franchise is dead to me. FJ Rob, the works, right? Now you have let's go Malik for MVP, J Rob, who's the GM. J Rob is so sexy. J Rob is my daddy. I'm so happy.
By the way, Desmond Ritter, on the
emotional roller coaster of a Tennessee Titans fan,
said this to ABC. He says they're gonna get a Super Bowl out of me. So Desmond Ritter,
he could be.
I mean, hey, he has Kyle Pitts in his defense.
I bet $25.
I think Washington's in play. Washington might be in play for one of those two guys.
I bet $2,500.
Yeah, because Wentz is soon going to be out of the door. He's on a 1-year deal, right? It was
I think Carson Wentz is just on his deal that he signed with Indy.
1 year, and he has 1 year. Yeah. You know something? I agree.
Well, the
Carolina's coming up next. Just saying.
The Seahawks, Andrew. Did the Seahawks grab a
Ryan Fitzpatrick?
The Seahawks grab who?
Did the Seahawks grab a quarterback yet?
No.
So maybe Howell goes to Seahawks.
I think at this point the Seahawks are calling it quits on quarterbacks.
The only reason I like Sam Howell better than Matt Corral. I think Matt Corral is a better athlete, like from a speed perspective. But I think Sam Howell is going to be a better quarterback than Matt Corral would be. I think he's got a better arm. He makes some Brett Favre-ish throws off his back foot, in coverages that it shouldn't be. And luckily, he had some good receivers over the years at North Carolina that were able to kind of bail him out of some of that stuff. But I think out of the two of them, I think Howell will end up being the better of the two quarterbacks between him and Corral. I think Corral, his frame is really light. He doesn't have anything spectacular about his arm. He's fast, and that's about it. But at the quarterback position, if you can't throw the ball, is there really much point of playing the quarterback position?
Come on, pick the guy that dealt with Lane Kiffin. Matt Kiffin.
Yeah. The guy that dealt with Lane Kiffin.
Yeah. But I guess we're going to wrap this up soon. By the way, I just want to bring this up. Thanks to everyone who has watched this. This is more of our unusual stream because there was no set outline. We were in the middle of a draft. We were reacting to the Malik Willis selection, for example. But we and this is just, speaking from the founder of FL Teams, right? We are going to try to integrate more live reactions in the coming months. So for big events like the NFL draft, we may be live and giving our live reactions. So obviously every Wednesday night, tune in, FL Teams Live. That's a set outline. We may be discussing one topic or certain topics. And then also throughout the week, we'll get some videos about some breaking news stories, maybe some editorial opinion piece videos, such as who was the best NFL quarterback. It's Tua. I'm just kidding.
Hey, but before we hop off,
yeah,
can I get some draft grades? Isaac, can you give me a Tampa Bay grade? Just an overall, just what we've seen so far, just an A, B, C, D, E, or F, whatever. A draft grade of
B+ for the Bucks.
Jeremiah, Dolphins obviously haven't picked yet. Can you?
I want him to give the Dolphins grade. I want.
Okay, give us what you think the Dolphins are going to do.
Look, this draft is an A+ already. We got
you got Tyreek Hill out of it,
right? We got Tyreek Hill for first and second. That's an A+.
And we didn't do anything bad. So,
and Andrew, what about Jacksonville? What do you up to this point? These picks, from the first round to now, what do you give Jacksonville total grade?
I give them a B. I think it was a good draft.
Good. I like that.
I think you plugged a lot of holes, man. I keep saying this, Andrew, I swear. Like, there's something in me that says Jacksonville's going to be sneaky good. I think Trevor Lawrence takes a big next step. I think Etienne is going to be bigger than people thought it was going to be. I think you're actually going to run the ball with Robinson, and then your defense just got really good.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you this. Before Carson Wentz got injured, their Super Bowl run when Nick Foles led him to the victory, Carson Wentz was an MVP candidate. If Doug Peterson can make an MVP candidate of Carson Wentz, he's going to do wonders in turning that 17 interceptions around.
QB was taken, Jeremiah?
Matt Corral goes to the Carolina Panthers.
That he was predicted to go there in the first round.
Yeah.
Hey, what's up, Tramel? Thanks for tuning in.
Hey,
I really thought that they would. I thought that they would be more apt to go to Sam Howell.
hey, now the QB room's going to be a little spicy because there's already
Yeah.
there's already waves with Baker Mayfield and receivers. Sam Darnold they don't think is the chosen one, and now
I am
you have
confused. So now they have two QBs who are not starting caliber. I am confused.
but you don't know what you're going to get from Matt Corral because he has no NFL resume. So
think
you're
he
just
could-
going off of.
But you think he could be better than Sam Darnold, who's not even good?
Well, I think it's going to be how he meshes with DJ Moore and how he meshes with Christian McCaffrey. I think the mobility is going to be huge for them because of the escapability. You know, anytime you get Christian McCaffrey in space, he's a nightmare. And when a QB gets out of the pocket, Christian McCaffrey is allowed to kind of ad lib a little bit and get away from a linebacker or get away from a safety. So, training camp's going to be fun in Carolina.
Isaac,
By the way,
I can
because
tell
you
you what I
guys-
think this did right here, Isaac. What this is Cleveland talking about taking on some of Baker's money. This is the negotiation chip for Carolina because Carolina doesn't need to make a move for Baker now. There's nowhere else for him to go. Cleveland's going to have to cut him. They're going to have to just cut him.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I agree.
that's a good
Spot on.
that's a good point because now they're going to say, hey, you either eat his whole contract or you keep him.
Yeah, you keep him, and they end up cutting him, and then you go get him off the pile. Like,
yeah, you either eat his contract or you keep him on your roster, and you guys can argue about it come training camp.
One thing is for sure. Deshaun Watson is safe in Cleveland. Other than that, we don't know who's safe. I mean, I guess Matt
he is
Corral's
safe, but no masseuse is.
But maybe not. Matt Corral may not even be safe. Matt Corral might be traded. Who knows?
No happy endings in Ohio. None.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Hey, but I do want to go back to the Bucks because we got a Bucks fan in the chat. The Bucks, and the reason I give them a B+ is the fact that they did a lot for not having a first round pick, because this running back that they got, and you could believe PFF grades and whatever, but let me just say it: 92.4 PFF grade since 2020, first among running backs in the draft.
You talking about Rashawn White?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, if you don't believe the numbers, go watch the film.
Exactly.
Film don't lie.
Exactly.
Go watch the film. Rashawn White for Arizona State is an animal, and he will be an animal.
Exactly.
And
So,
and he's
we'll see.
He's Tom Brady's favorite type of running back because he's able to work out of the backfield.
And guess what? The guard that the Bucks got, Brady will love. So what does any team need to do with Brady? Make Brady happy. The Bucks.
Well, they got
give them a B+.
Shaq Mason too. They got Shaq Mason too as running mate from New England.
Exactly. Hey, the Bucks are. I promise you, they are doing everything right. They just need more young talent, and they're doing that tonight. So here we go. Any final thoughts, guys? Any final? That's it.
That was fun, man.
You know what? Look, I think this has played out really well in the draft. That like the second and third round have been interesting because this is really deep, right? I mean, I just think we're in the third round and names are getting called that your average football fan knows, right?
Yeah.
That were good at or big at their positions. So it's going to be interesting. I can't wait for 4 or 5 years down the road to take a look back at this draft and truly see what it pans out to be, because there looks to be a lot of guys who can make impact and do it pretty quickly. And teams seem to do a real good job of filling the holes. So
I really had fun with this first round. And because of the unexpectedness with the first round, it made 2, 3, and it made rounds 2 and 3 really fun, right? Because there was no script for this besides maybe the number 1 overall pick, but that was just like hours before, where it came down to like Trayvon Walker was getting to be the guy. The first three picks or so were fairly scripted, because those guys could have probably been mixed in at any angle. But when you got, what did New Orleans trade up to pick 10? Was that the first big trade?
It was in that range. I think it was 10. I can't remember. But
Once we got out, between 8 and 10 forward, there was this was all. You ever watch the show like Impractical Jokers? This was like that. It was just ad-libbed the entire way through, and I mean, it made rounds 2 and 3 a lot more fun because the players you thought were supposed to go, even in the first round, the first 32 picks, Malik Willis, being one of them. Everyone thought he was going to be a top 7 or 10 pick. Ends up 86th overall. Nakobe Dean ended up in the 60s. That was Mr. Sexy's pick as his number 1 for Jacksonville. So, I mean, the first round set the tone for the rest of this draft. Now we've got guys that were supposed to be in the top draft, the forefront of it, they're going in rounds. They're going to be going in rounds day 3 tomorrow.
Yeah. But by the way, this is interesting. I'm looking at it now. The Panthers traded up to get Matt Corral. I just find that interesting.
Yeah. They traded up to what was that? They jumped up to 94 to get him.
So here's the deal, though. Right now, your next 2 picks are Detroit and Washington. So Carolina may have known something with those 2. It'll be interesting to see what they do, but Detroit still needs a quarterback. So does Washington.
I don't think Tyler Heineke. I think he was like, he was an easy guy to root for, almost like Rudy. You know what I mean? Like he's really easy to root for. He gives a lot of guts. He gives a lot of spirit. But at the end of the day, like he's not going to get the job done for you. Like he's a bridge quarterback. It's like, look, we're going to have 2 crappy years. We'll have 2 competitive years. Taylor Heineke will be our guy, and then it'll bridge us over to the next guy. I think Carson Wentz is like their bridge B quarterback. I don't think he's he hasn't been a long-term answer since, his collapse in Philly, and then the rift with, Nick Foles and Doug Peterson. He hasn't been, his headspace hasn't been right. He crapped the bed last year in a Jacksonville game. It was a win and in scenario. It would have got him in the playoffs had they would have won. And that was the team that people were picking to be the biggest threat to the AFC, was the way they run the football and the way they play. So I think it's funny.
They haven't won a home game, or they haven't won a game in Jacksonville since 2014, and we're keeping it that way.
Keep it that way. Just don't do it to my Titans. Keep it that way. You can give Houston. I'm not worried about. They're poo poo. You can give Indianapolis all the division losses you want to. I'm okay with that.
But by the way, before we end this, Jeremiah, because you're a UNC fan, I thought I would share this tweet with you, and I find this completely interesting. That this is the first player.
Yeah, he was actually on the Titans. He's one of their offensive linemen. He was on one of my Titans.
I'm seeing Jeremiah's facial expression. He's going crazy here.
Yeah, no, see, look, Notre Dame has my football love because I'm just all over the board on everything.
That's not true.
Carolina is my basketball squad.
Natron Means went to UNC.
Yeah, no, I'm thinking they're saying in this draft.
Okay.
Yeah.
I read
That's
that.
why I looked at it at first too, Andrew. I'm like, wait a second.
Yeah, I'm like,
I was like,
wait.
huh?
Because we know UNC is not a football program, but come on, I mean, they would have at least someone.
Well, let's. You know what? It'll be a good one to wrap up on. Detroit. The pick is in at number 97. Let's see if this is finally.
Do they go? Do they finally hop off the noodle arm golf train and take Sam Howell?
Who's after Sam Howell? Is that it?
You talking about like from a QB perspective?
Yeah, pretty much. Because
Lions draft safety Kirby Joseph. So there's that.
All right.
All right. Well, hey guys, this is fantastic.
He lives to fight for day 3.
Hey, this just got me so much more excited. Just this interaction and what we've done going up to the draft. This football season is going to be a lot of fun on FL teams, Isaac.
Hey, preseason's going to be fun. Preseason's going to be fun.
I want to tell everyone listening, please follow us on social media at FL Teams. Check out our website, flteams.com. We're going to have some good content this offseason. After the NFL draft for a few weeks, there's some downtime. We're going to have some interviews, maybe with some players, definitely with some fans, broadcasters, you name it, we'll get them. We're going to put out some good content, even during the downtime. So, yeah, Vic, this was content time, right? NFL draft. But, hey, we're going to be creative coming up. But thanks, everyone, for watching. I'll let Jeremiah take it away.
Hey, dude, nobody can say it better than you did yourself, sir. Like, I'm watching Barry Sanders limp out to make a pick for the Lions. But, hey, no, just a great time as always, EJ, Andrew, Isaac, man, it's always good. This is kind of cool. I think this has been awesome, just kind of hanging out, talking the draft while we're watching it.
This is more of a hangout stream.
Hey,
but I think that's amazing.
You guys know a little fun fact for the evening on Malik Willis, because I'm just kind of enamored that we got him at 86. You know, at Auburn as a sophomore, he ran a 4.37 40 and led the FBS in missed tackles, forcing missed tackles as a quarterback.
Right? Not a running back.
Real quick, though, and now I have to rain on that parade. Well, what was his completion percentage that year? He's a quarterback. So he can run.
Yeah, he probably threw like 8 passes that year. I don't think
Yeah.
they probably just had him in.
It's like Anthony Richardson, right? Anthony Richardson.
But AR-15. But that kind of it gives a little bit more body to the question I asked Andrew earlier about, do you bring someone in the box as being such a running threat, or do you leave a safety center field and hope he doesn't bomb you deep?
That's for Xavier Howard to decide. He's a cornerback. No, I'm just kidding.
Well,
not for Jacksonville.
I think EJ, that was a unique problem to have 6 years ago. But I think guys like Lamar Jackson being in this league, guys like Kyler Murray who get out and run.
It's schemed
so
now.
More of those safeties now that are that plug that just like our guy Hollywood Vaughn.
The level of athleticism in safeties is completely different too. Like there wasn't safeties, besides the Ed Reeds and the some of the Palomalus and the Sean Taylors. There wasn't safeties running down 4-3 quarterbacks. You know what I mean? Mike Vick was one of the very, very few, if maybe the only one, that teams had to scheme for. And if you weren't in the division, it was maybe a once-a-year thing, or if we saw you in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So, but now that you have almost every quarterback in the NFL, at least a majority of them, has some sort of mobility to them.
I think this is a good way to end this. This is an interesting
they took a running
one.
back.
Alabama running back. This is one of the few guys I know because I've seen him play.
Yeah, but it's because your Florida boy can't stay healthy. Antonio Gibson can't stay healthy, man.
Yeah, this is interesting. Brian Robinson. I've seen. I don't know,
dude. I'm not a Bama fan, but that dude's one of the hardest runners I've ever seen.
Yeah, and by the way, I'm not the biggest college football fan, but I obviously watch Alabama games. I know Brian Robinson, but it's interesting because Alabama just has the supporting cast. This is interesting. This I'm going to need to watch film on because Robinson was so good at college. Man, this guy really knows how to run.
Trent Richardson could run in college too, and he laid a big old doo-doo egg when he came into the league.
Yeah, but I think this is an interesting way to end this show.
I like it.
Like,
if Antonio Gibson could stay healthy, I don't think this draft pick happens because he's young. He's a converted wide receiver to running back. He's super elusive, but Brian Robinson is a heck of a running back, man.
Yeah,
and
I know.
At the number, what was that? The 100th pick?
No, 98.
Was that Washington?
98.
Yep.
Yeah, Washington. Yeah. With Washington's pick inside the top 100, that's a first team all SEC running back.
1,600 total yards last year.
That guy played Georgia. That guy played Georgia front sevens 2 times. He played LSU front sevens and had production there. Like he was running against Trayvon Walker and Nakobe Dean, for 2 different times and had production.
You know what? A few seconds ago, you were talking about forced missed tackles. Robinson had 79. That's the most in the SEC for forced missed tackles in 2021. Yeah, I told you he's an amazing runner, but I just don't know in the NFL. But hey, in college, what a career! And let me tell you something.
Yeah,
he's not like Derrick Henry in terms of the way he's built, but he breaks tackles like him.
I wonder how that's going to work out in Washington with, like you said, EJ Gibson, and then you have McKissick, and
they got rid of Peyton Barber though.
Yeah, well, but Antonio Gibson to me, he's a decent sized running back, but he's really good out of the backfield because he's a converted receiver. So now to save the mileage on Antonio Gibson and to keep him from getting injured, now you got your between the tackle runner in Brian Robinson.
So
the other thing is we all know too in the NFL now.
It looks like the Dolphins are 2 picks away. Jeremiah.
Yeah, you need a first down. You need a Swiss Army knife, and then you need a pure pass catcher, essentially. Yeah. Like you need almost 3 running backs on your roster.
Well, let me tell you something about because obviously this is FL teams. We have to bring up the Florida teams. The Gators. Dameon Pierce is on the draft board.
Is he still on the board?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I liked him, man.
Yeah.
We'll see if he'll get drafted probably tomorrow.
Dang, David Bell just got picked, man, the Purdue receiver.
All right, so
I liked him.
I think we're definitely adding this after the Dolphins pick.
We'll carry it out to the Dolphins. I mean, we got to get that. The first time they make an appearance in the draft.
That's crazy. They're the last team, right? They're the last team that hasn't picked yet, correct?
Yeah, Jets and then Miami.
So they pick in two,
team
right?
not picked yet? Has any team not
Arizona?
picked yet?
Arizona is making their pick now.
No, I think the Dolphins are going to be the last team to round out the 32.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Wait, have the Rams drafted yet?
Yeah, I think
no.
Did they not?
Not that I know, because they
That's smart. You see, I caught that. The Rams.
I don't think.
Give me credit
because
for that. I don't think the Rams drafted yet.
No, because they wanted at McVay mentioned earlier that they wanted the UT Chattanooga tackle at 104, so they don't pick till 104.
Yeah, I was right. Okay, yeah, good.
Oh wow!
Pat on the back. Pat on the back there. Yeah.
Good job.
There you go.
Hey, that's
so
what
up until 104,
win Super Bowls.
I was like, yeah.
Yeah, you don't need draft picks. You just win Super Bowls.
And that's why the Rams traded their pick for the right reason. The Lions, it's too bad that the Rams couldn't be bad this year. They would have got a good pick. So we're gonna hold this out. We're gonna hold this out until the Dolphins.
And you lose Robert Woods in a trade. OBJ may or may not come back and take a discount, but you reload with Allen Robinson. Like, do the rich get richer? Just
if the
in
Dolphins,
football too?
Let me tell you this, Jeremiah. If the Dolphins draft Sam Howell, Dolphins Twitter's going in shambles tonight.
It would be that would be awesome. It really would.
I would like that, right? Because I'm
Look, but
the Jets pick and then Dolphins pick, right?
Jets and then the Dolphins.
Well, their picks already in. These ones fly through anyway.
Teddy Bridgewater and Sam Howell. Oh my.
Yeah. Oh, that would
you got the between Teddy and Tuna, you got the Dink and Dunk Masters.
Yeah, this is probably going to be one of those unsexy picks. I mean, it's going to be.
I don't even know. This is the first draft pick by Mike McDaniel as a head coach.
But I feel like with the players you have defensively, you don't need a whole lot. You got two good corners. You got a good young safety. Yeah. Jerome Baker, your linebacker. You got a good front. Offensively, you got Chase Edmonds. You got receivers. You got Gesicki. I feel like this can be more of a want pick than a need pick, especially at pick 100-ish,
Dolphins officially on the clock. There we go. Finally. The only FL team we're waiting for, right, guys? Woo.
Let's see what we got.
Yeah.
People are saying if the Dolphins trade back, they're going to cry.
That old man in the picture earlier won't make it till a trade back.
Could you imagine if it says the Dolphins have traded their pick?
We're waiting on here next to.
Or if they traded a pick back and then they trade again for like 4 picks back.
Hey, Dolphins Twitter, man, they go crazy.
They really do. I mean, if you can just stand objectively on the sideline and watch the Tua haters and supporters, there's very few people that just stay in the middle of that. There's either guys who he's the left arm of God or he's complete trash.
By the way,
I was about to say,
you think a kicker's drafted tonight? Because Evan McPherson literally proved to the nation how important a kicker is.
No, I don't think one's drafted. I don't think one's drafted tonight. Maybe day 3.
Maybe there's not even any good kickers. I don't know.
But to like from what I've seen from the Tua sighting, there is no gray area, right? You either love him and you think he's the future, or you like just you have so much disdain for him and you hate him. It's usually one of those two, right, Jeremiah?
Yeah, but I also think that some of the hate has grown from the blind love, because you see so much blind love that it makes you start having to plant your foot in the sand to be like, no, like it's more of this pull between fans. It's really unique, man.
You go off the production at Alabama. You wonder why.
Breaking news.
You wonder why it hasn't translated. You know what I mean? Like the objective of throwing the football is still the same. Why can't he throw the football in the NFL?
It's and he can. I mean, here's the thing: is again, you find so little objectivity with Tua, because I mean, I try to be, in the sense that he's absolutely accurate, right?
Yeah.
Wow! They got the man.
Who?
Who to what?
The Dolphins.
Wait.
Okay, so this is a guy from Georgia. Wow. We got someone from Georgia.
Another
Linebacker.
Georgia?
Oh, you got. Did you get Tanning or Tannen?
Yeah, we got. Is he good?
Yeah.
There you go,
Yeah, number
linebacker.
41. Yeah, he's good, man. He's good.
Let's go, Jeremiah.
I think that's
Fist bump.
everyone. Look, I think that's every official guy who suited up on Georgia's defense has now been drafted. Like,
Wow.
that's
So
crazy.
the kid that you guys just drafted, the linebacker out of Georgia, he played alongside Nakobe Dean, and I remember in the national championship game, there was a play that almost ended up as a touchdown, and Nakobe Dean pulled him by his jersey and yelled at him for not being in his right spot. The next play, he went and sacked Bryce Young and ended up having them kick a field goal instead of scoring a touchdown. So the dude's, and my point being is the guy's teachable. Like he's okay with correcting a mistake, and that's, dude, at the NFL level, that's being teachable as a young guy and not having an ego. That's huge.
So we made it to the Miami pick, and I'll leave you at this because it ties all of it together. I'm a big proponent when it gets late in these to draft a kid who came from a program that you trust and you know, right? The third round for me is not the time to roll the dice on Wyoming or North Dakota State. You get a guy who played in the national championship game as a starter, SEC football, right? I mean, that's
chill. Jacksonville took Muma out of Wyoming in the third round.
Well, that's because they already took they already got two Georgia Bulldogs.
When you have Devin Lloyd on your pick at 33, you can take Muma out of Wyoming and it'd be okay. He can be a special teamer. You know what I mean?
Yeah. By the way, I think this is the perfect way to end the night. I was just talking about the Buccaneers getting who they wanted. Jeremiah, you said this for a while. Linebacker. They get a linebacker. They get someone from Georgia, the national champion team. And if EJ knows who the player is, who
played under Dan Lanning, the new head coach at Oregon, the guy breeds NFL defensive players. He's gonna fit right in. He's gonna learn the system quickly. I think I looked at him as an early, like round 3 type grade, and he's going at pick 100 ish. I like it for the Dolphins, man. That's a good pick for being your first pick.
Yeah. Look, and as we're wrapping through, just one thing popped on Twitter. You've seen the video where Malik Willis is crying when he sees that he got picked.
Just saw that.
Right. Yeah. So the tweet I saw behind that is Malik Willis is crying because he realized that he can't pay back all those loans with third round money.
all the jewelry loans and the car loans.
Right. All right. Hey, man, this has been awesome. We could sit through it the whole time, but, man, this has been awesome. Thanks so much for everybody for joining us, coming in. And, I'm sure on FL Teams we're going to have a lot of coverage of all the Florida teams wrapping up your draft coverages. Andrew, man, I can't wait to see the podcast coming up to recount where you're at here on the Jaguars. So looking forward to it, man. A lot of good things all the way around. God, there's some days it's just great to be a football fan. And,
it's like it's Christmas at the end of April, right? We get to unbox and open our draft pick gifts, and then we get to see them in training camp, and then the preseason is going to be fun because, I mean, forget the starters in preseason. I want to see Treylon Burks. I want to see Malik Willis. I know you want to see Trayvon Walker. Channing Tindall, you guys get to see him now in preseason. That's where it gets the most fun, when these young guys have 3 games to show what they're worth.
Good stuff.
God, that's going to be a heck of a pick, man. Tindall's a heck of a linebacker. All right, we can end it now.
Anybody else? We good? Let's wrap them up, Isaac. Our fearless leader carrying us away.
Hey,
watch. What? Wait. Oh, never mind. You guys can't see my TV.
Right.
Well, what's next? Unless Sam Howell's getting drafted, we're ending this.
Yeah, we're done with it. We made it all the way to the Dolphins. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, that's pretty good. All the Florida teams got hit.
Yeah.
Perfect. Well, with that said, all of the Florida teams were hit. For myself, Isaac Edelman, founder of FL Teams, Jeremiah Hensley, our fantastic podcaster of Fins in the Sea, and every Wednesday night, FL Teams Live. EJ Farbman, our Titans fan that is borrowed by Florida for it's been a few months already. We love to have him on, especially when Malik Willis gets drafted. and our
86 overall, man.
fantastic partner and frequent speaker on FL Teams Live, the one and only Jag Roar podcast, Andrew Eshman. Andrew, you've been busy as of late because the Jaguars have been busy. But
Yes.
for all of us, and thank you to everyone listening, I am Isaac once again. Stay tuned for more content. FL Teams is going places. Have a good rest of the NFL draft. And guess what? Please stay healthy as the NFL draft comes to an end. Thanks for listening, everyone.